Alright guys, we are back for another day and we've got so much news to talk through in today's video. There's so much going on around the Championship right now. As always, if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to drop a like, and any news that we miss off today, make sure to get it in the comments down below and we'll talk about it next time. Subscribe if you're new around here, but without any further ado, let's just jump in. Former Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder is the latest manager to be linked with that Leicester City vacancy. It definitely feels like, in terms of preparation for this upcoming season, Leicester are badly lagging behind the vast majority of Championship clubs when it comes to getting that squad in order for next season, hiring a manager in the first place. We've got potential sanctions to follow from the EFL as well. They need to get that managerial situation sorted as soon as possible. Like I say, Wilder is one of the latest candidates being linked with that role, but you've also got the likes of Danny Roll, who's been linked, Sean Dyche, who's still one of the favourites in the bookies' eyes as well. So a few names being linked. They just need to get that sorted as soon as possible. But in terms of some done deals, we've seen Birmingham completing the signing of Kaigo Furuhashi coming over from Rennes. They've been linked with the Japanese international for quite some time, but have now got this deal over the line with the overall package believed to be worth around about £10 million. It's a really exciting addition. What I would say is this is the sort of signing that you make when you're serious about a promotion charge for the immediate future. You know, you don't bring in someone like a Furuhashi if you're planning long-term to gradually build into the Championship. You make this sort of statement signing, a player in his prime, he's 30 years old, for instant success, don't you? So, yeah, really exciting addition. I think he will give Birmingham that extra bit of firepower next season in the Championship. Really excited to see how he gets on. Stoke City have signed striker Divin Mumba on a season-long loan from Manchester City. Now, in terms of senior football, he's still fairly raw. He's 20 years old. He's played a little bit for West Ham in the Premier League. He then made the move to Man City last summer for a fee of around about £2 million. His record in youth football is absolutely off the charts. He's got a brilliant scoring record. Just a question of whether he can translate that into some Championship goals next season, but definitely a very talented youngster. Yep, looking forward to seeing how he gets on. We've also seen Stoke completing the signature of Maxim Televirov coming over from Plymouth Argyle. I think this one's a really good addition. We only saw the Ukrainian defender in the second half of last season for Plymouth after he was signed in January, but thought he made a really good impression during that short stint at Home Park. Definitely a capable defender for this level. That deal looks to be in the region of about £2 million, but I think a really good capture for Stoke. We've seen Preston North End completing the signing of Brighton defender Odeluga Afire, with the fee being in the region of around about £1.5 million. That's currently being reported. Honestly, I think this one ticks a lot of boxes for North End. He's only 22 years old, versatile, can play as a centre-half, a right-back, can play as part of a back three or a back four. Coming off the back of a very good loan spell in League One last season with Blackpool, the sort of profile, his age. Yeah, very happy that North End have got that deal over the line, especially considering a number of other Championship clubs were also interested. We have had confirmation of Watford signing Vivaldo Semedo. He's coming over from Udinese. This one had been on the cards for quite some time, but has now been completed. He's a 20-year-old striker, stands at 6'4", looks like he's got the attributes to make a success of himself in the Championship. We'll wait and see on him. And we've known about this one for quite some time, but Wolfsburg have completed the signing of Sheffield United midfielder Vinny Souza. Undoubtedly one of the best midfielders in the Championship last season, and will be a miss for Sheffield United, but after losing that playoff final, I think we all thought that sales were inevitable this summer. The transfer fee is in the region of £13 million. Blades fans, do you think you got a fair deal there? Let me know down below. But those are some of the latest done deals which have gone through in the Championship. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. So what a move this is going to be for Mikey Johnston. He's set to move to Brazilian giants Flamengo in a deal worth £5 million. West Brom have accepted an offer from the Brazilian side, and providing there are no snags with the personal terms or anything like that, it looks more than likely that this deal will be going through. Now, West Brom only signed the winger on a permanent basis last summer for a fee in the region of about £3 million, I believe is what they got him from Celtic. They are flipping him for a quick profit. It's a shame we're not going to see more of him in the Championship, to be honest. While I don't think he completely was firing on all cylinders for the Baggies last season, I thought he was a little bit hot and cold, to be honest with you. I do still think there is a very good player in there, and obviously that's been vindicated by Flamengo paying around £5 million for him. But West Brom fans, what was your reaction to that story, and how much do you think think you'll miss him next season. Speaking of West Brom, supposedly they are one of the Championship sides interested in Preston midfielder Ali McCann. There were some whispers a few weeks ago that Sheffield United were also interested. Now, amid all of this interest, Preston are now trying to tie him down to a new contract, which I think is the wise thing to do. McCann has an absolutely instrumental role within this North End side, such a good ball winner in the middle of the park. You could definitely see why a side like West Brom would be interested. I think he'd be a great fit into that setup, but by all accounts, it seems like McCann is happy to stay at Preston and he won't be leaving unless a big offer does come in for him. One exit from North End that looks much more likely is Jack Watmore, who is in talks with Huddersfield Town over a potential deal worth in the region of 250k. I think from a North End perspective, Watmore isn't going to get a lot of game time next season, and so to sell him at this point I think does make sense. And for a side like Huddersfield, I think he'd be a good option for them next season as well. And speaking of Huddersfield, they're also eyeing a deal for Preston's Brad Potts as well. They're absolutely obsessed with some of our stars right now. They've already signed Ryan Ledson, in talks with Jack Watmore, and also have their eye on Brad Potts as well. Now, Potts is heading into the final year of his contract with North End, and so that is worth taking into consideration here. He is also 31 years old and has started to become a little bit more injury prone, which are the factors which will be taken into consideration by North End. From my perspective though, I think it would be a shame to lose a player like Potts, who is very versatile, can fill a number of different holes in the squad, a very hard working player, and I get the impression that Heckingbottom enjoys working with him as well, and you definitely get the impression that Potts enjoys being at Preston, so I can't imagine he'd be pushing for a move. But if the money was right on this deal, maybe we could see some movement on that over these next few days. So with Vinicius Souza moving on at Sheffield United, it's no surprise that they're going to be in the market for a few new midfielders this summer. One of the names on their radar is Stoke City's Wouter Berger. No surprise whatsoever that there is some interest in the 24-year-old. Going back to last summer, I remember a few clubs being interested as well. Now, Stoke initially signed him for a fee in the region of 4 million, and it's been said that if they were to cash in this summer, they'd be looking to double their money, so have an asking price of around about £8 million. Whether Sheffield United will be prepared to pay that, we'll have to wait and see. What I would say though is I think that Berger is a very good player at this level, and in the right environment, I think could get even better. Speaking of Sheffield United, they are also one of the clubs keeping tabs on Louis Barry's situation after his move to Hull City has fallen through. It seems more than likely that he'll be signing for another Championship club this summer. Derby are also said to be interested as well. The biggest stumbling block in any potential deal for Barry though is the fact that Aston Villa seem to be pretty adamant in sticking a 50% sell-on clause in the deal, which is pretty mental. Now, generally speaking, Barry's available for quite a competitive price. Aston Villa only asking for around about 3.5 million, which, considering his current ability and potential, does seem fairly cheap to me, but then that's completely offset by the fact that Villa are looking for such a massive sell-on clause as part of the deal. So yeah, you've got Sheffield United and Derby among the clubs interested right now, but that 50% sell-on clause is definitely going to put a few sides off. Now, if Derby aren't able to get a deal over the line for Louis Barry, West Brom's Carlin Grant is being considered as an alternative option. Grant is going into the last year of his contract at the Hawthorns, and so this could be the Baggies' last chance to get a little bit of money for him. Previously, we've also had Stoke being interested in Grant as well. There's also supposed to be a bit of interest from abroad as well, so he's definitely one worth keeping your eye on over these next few weeks to see if we get any more movement on that story. Swansea could be back in pole position to sign Ollie McBurney. Now, over these last few weeks, it's been Hull City who have been in the driving seat to get a deal over the line for McBurney, but having been slapped by this transfer embargo, it does make things a little bit more tricky. Now, it is worth mentioning that McBurney is available on a free transfer, and as things stand, Hull still are able to sign players on freeze, but things could get sticky regarding agent fees, EFL approval and things like that. Hull are having to jump through a few hoops right now, which does put Swansea back in the race. As things stand, it's still thought that McBurney is assessing his options, but a potential return to Swansea could be back on the cards after this Hull City news we've had recently. Wrexham have agreed a club record £5 million deal with Nottingham Forest for midfielder Lewis O'Brien, who's been in high demand this summer from a number of Championship clubs who have been interested. So in terms of the two clubs, they're aligned in that transfer package. However, there are still a few complications which could see this deal fall through. The main reason this transfer is potentially in doubt right now is because Wrexham's initial contract offer to O'Brien is currently below what he's earning at Nottingham Forest. And potentially, if they're not willing to renegotiate that and have a little bit of wiggle room on that, it could see the deal fall through. He is on a good deal at Nottingham Forest. According to Capology, he's currently on about 35 grand a week at Nottingham Forest, and Wrexham's initial offer is below that fee. So we'll wait and see if there's any movement on that front over these next few days. Hull City winger Liam Miller does have interest from a few unnamed Championship clubs. He's an interesting one. Obviously, over these next few weeks, we could see Hull selling a few players to get their finances back in order. Miller is someone who Hull fans still haven't seen a great deal of. He made 11 appearances in the Championship last season for them, but missed the vast majority of the campaign with an ACL injury. And I do think a few Championship sides maybe will be a little bit cautious when going in for him, because when coming off the back of an ACL injury, especially for a player like Miller who's quite reliant on those quick bursts of acceleration, that's a big part of his game, recovering from a nasty ACL injury like that does take time, and there's no guarantee that he'll come back immediately next season as the same player once again. But because of Hull's current situation, if he is available for a decent price, you could see why there'd be some Championship interest there. During his loan spell with North End a season or so ago, he was absolutely brilliant for us. Sheffield Wednesday's JD Sammer is being linked with a move away from the club. Now, it is worth pointing out that he is one of the players who has reportedly been paid and so won't be able to walk away from his contract on a free transfer like some of the players in that Sheffield Wednesday squad might be able to. It would make sense from a financial point at Sheffield Wednesday, if they do have limited funds to be paying players, to try and pay the players who are worth the most amount of money so that they can actually sell them on to try and generate a few funds. Blackburn Rovers are supposedly one of the Championship clubs who have inquired about him, who are interested. But you'd imagine there'd be quite a few suitors for the 21-year-old. He scored 7 goals and got 1 assist last season. Sheffield Wednesday will be looking for at least 2.5 million to sell him, which does seem like a very reasonable price, to be honest with you, given his potential. Bristol City are one of the clubs trying to sign Tyree Stolen, who is out of contract this summer and available on a free, although any club that does sign him would have to pay some compensation to Blackburn Rovers. Now, Bristol City face plenty of competition when trying to get Dolan's signature, obviously. A number of Championship clubs have been linked throughout the summer. There's also interest from abroad as well. He's currently assessing his options, but Bristol City, one of the sides pushing for that deal right now. Brentford are considering making a £15 million bid for Middlesbrough defender Rav van den Berg to try and bring him to the G-Tech next season. Now, Crystal Palace have also been heavily linked with the defender, but as of yet haven't been able to strike a deal with Middlesbrough. The Brentford link is especially interesting considering that Van den Berg's brother currently plays for Brentford, so we could get a link up of the two brothers playing alongside each other next season, which would be nice. Borough fans, would you be tempted to accept that deal for around about 15 million if they do go in with that offer? Yet another Luton Town player is being eyed up by Charlton Athletic. They've already got deals over the line for Thomas Kaminski and Amari Bell. Well, Reece Burke is the latest Luton player being linked with a move to the Valley. He'd be able to plug a few gaps, being able to play as either a centre-half or right-back. Sheffield United goalkeeper Michael Cooper is still being linked with a move to Everton. From his perspective, I don't think that one makes a massive amount of sense, with Everton having Jordan Pickford, who's their, established number one, and for as good as Cooper is, you wouldn't expect him to go to Goodison Park and start ahead of Pickford, would you? Everton supposedly willing to pay around about 5 million plus add-ons as part of a deal. I just can't see Sheffield United accepting that. Italian side Parma have made an approach for Millwall's Mihailo Ivanovic. Now, you'd imagine they'd have to cough up quite a bit of money to get him out of Millwall right now after the season he's just had, his debut season in England, the way he finished that campaign, how Alex Neil, I think, wants to build that Millwall attack around Ivanovic. It would have to be a seriously lucrative offer, I think, to get him away from Millwall right now, especially considering from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like Millwall desperately need that sort of money right now. You'd fancy them to be in and amongst the playoff picture again, and a player like Ivanovic, who's now fully settled in England, I think could be even better next season as well. So yeah, it would take a big fee, you'd imagine, to get him out of there. Norwich City's deal for Matthias Kvistgaarden is edging ever closer, with the Canaries now agreeing a deal with Brondby. Now, we spoke about the forward in a little bit more detail in yesterday's video, so if you didn't see that, make sure to go ahead and check that one out. But this one would be a really exciting addition for the Canaries. Now, we are expecting a few exits between now and the start of the season at Norwich. The likes of Josh Sargent, Borja Sainz have been heavily linked with moves away from the club. But the addition of Christgarden would significantly soften the blow of losing one or potentially both of those players. Now, it does look to be an expensive deal. Lens in France previously had a bid of £11 million accepted for him, so you'd imagine Norwich are paying around about that figure as well. But as of recording, everything seems to be going in the right direction with that deal. Well guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to drop a like, and any info that we missed off today, make sure to get it in the comments down below. Apart from that though guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.